2. And now we're live.
It's always about sure because it came up with a live thing before you started counting down.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? I always just want to make sure.
I can never tell.
It's like a bad way to start every show is to make sure that it's actually working.
Yeah, I just got loads of notifications on my phone and in the browser to say that we are now live.
We're definitely live. Cool. So hello to future YouTube viewers, because currently we have no real time viewers. So yeah.
And not at the moment, no. Don't cry, Ryan. Don't cry. It'll be okay.
So I'm going to start off with.
I always think that bottle opener you got is a little bit impractical. It's quite big. It's quite difficult to leverage.
Well, I think you're a bit impractical, so
fair play.
So that's that, isn't it? That's that.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that.
So we're here to talk about some of your questions that you've been asking us during the week. Some of them are theme park related, and others asked by other people are perhaps not. So I'm going to start with a question that was asked to us on Facebook by none other than Nick from Diz After Dark. And he says, if you could charge your listeners £150 to meet you, would you, or do you both have souls?
That's sort of a, what do they call it? A loaded question.
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it? Why is that not working? There we go. So, I mean, I have my opinion on this.
Yeah. I mean, us as podcasters, and I don't know what you would call us podcasters. Our primary thing is podcasting at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think any podcaster really should pay to meet people, or the other way around. People should pay to meet them. If they're putting on an event, something like that, something that they've had to pay for, then maybe you could warrant charging an entrance or like a ticketed thing if there was lots of people there.
Yeah.
But if you're just to meet the person, no.
Well, this is the thing. I think, and this is the issue, because this came from a podcast who were charging $150, I think, ish, $160 maybe, for people to meet them. And I think some snacks are included, but entrance to the parks is not. And by and large, they're probably going to be making about $120, let's say.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's not, if they're doing it in the parks, it's not costing let's call it the host. It's not costing the host anything to host it apart from their entry fee.
Yeah.
So the chances are they're going to be there anyway. Yeah.
So in short, no, we would never charge people to meet us. Even if I think we got to the stage where we were incredibly famous and people wanted to get signatures and stuff, I can't see us ever charging to meet people. No. I think that the only difference to that is maybe we have been thinking about Patreon and starting that up, and but that's optional, right? So we would do extra shows or create T-shirts or whatever it may be.
I think that's something different, isn't it? Because you're the person. If somebody chooses to pay, they're choosing to support the content. They're paying for the content essentially to support us and support the content rather than just getting to meet us. It's feels different.
And making the content better as well, right? So if we were on Patreon, let's say, the first thing that I would buy is probably a new camera or a new microphone. I'd improve the setup that we have to make our content better.
Yeah. So, you don't just pocket the money. It's just
exactly. So unless we were surviving on Theme Park Trader Bar, alone, obviously, and we'd have to pay bills with it. But until that happens, then of course not. But no, we'll never charge people to meet. We're honoured that anyone would even want to say hello to us, let alone meet us. So and that doesn't matter if we've got 10 subscribers or 5 million or 20 million. That won't ever change. That's just who we are. So no, we will never charge to meet, although we may introduce Patreon further down the line. just to help us grow and get new equipment, all that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
and maybe eat if we decide to leave our jobs. Simon, welcome to the stream, Simon. Simon says, if you had to replace each other for podcasting, who would you replace them with? So if I had to replace Dan and Dan had to replace me, I think that's what you're asking, but do let us know if you're not, if we've got that confused. Who would I replace Dan with? That's a good question.
It's a tricky question, isn't it?
Who do I think I would be able to bounce off of? The thing is, it can't just be like, oh, insert generic celebrity here. But you'd have to have someone that was great at theme park knowledge, right? So if I was to say, oh, Warwick Davis, that's great, but I doubt he knows too much about theme parks. So he might, but I doubt it.
I'm trying to think of who the person I saw recently, and he was a Hollywood actor, and he was like saying about the differences between Haunted Mansion and talking about like the I don't think it's not called Haunted Mansion in Disneyland, is it? He was talking about that. I can't remember who that was.
Oh, anyone dead or alive? Well, that's easy. Walt Disney, job done. That's easy, he knows everything there is to know about the parks. Well, assuming obviously we can bring him back from the dead. But Walt Disney would be a great one. I think I'd prefer him more as a guest than an ongoing host. I think I'd find his personality a bit annoying after a while. You'd be like, oh, well, you can't swear here, Ryan. All right, Disney, shut up.
Puffing on his...
Yeah. That looks like he's doing weed. I'm not insinuating.
I'm not saying that. I just think he smokes.
So I think Walt Disney would make a great guest. But as a permanent host... It's a tricky one. I think it would have to be someone within the community. I think so another podcaster. Let's say Dan was hit by a bus tomorrow.
Whoa!
Sorry, or train.
Thank you.
It would probably be one. At this point in time, maybe one of the guys from the After Dark Network. I would say, in terms of theme park knowledge, is what I'm going on.
Right. Okay.
If I was a celebrity, it would be someone like maybe Bob Iger, because he once he steps down, I think that could be interesting. Of course, he's a celebrity.
Is he though? No.
Yes, of course he is. Someone with a lot of knowledge of the parks, rather than someone that I necessarily like. I'm fortunate that Dan right now has both of those things. In that I like him, and he knows enough about the parks to get to kind of wing it on the podcast.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, wing it. That's the right. Yeah. That's the right wording. Yeah.
So on to you, Dan. I've given you enough time to think there.
I mean, somebody from the After Dark podcast is a good choice. They're very knowledgeable. I mean, I'm going to sell out and I'll go with celebrity. I'll go with Hayley Williams, something like that. Bring a bit of gender diversity. I'll go with that. She's been to the park before.
Has she?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, she has actually. I saw her riding Splash Mountain.
There you go. See.
I mean, it doesn't mean she knows anything about the
park.
park.
I'm going to go with a smart choice. I don't care. We do it face to face, or most. We do the podcast face to face. So I'm not going to.
Basically, you just want to spend more time with Hayley Williams. Is what you're saying.
I'm not going to say no.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm two very different answers there.
Ryan's taking a very practical approach. I've taken a very selfish approach.
Yeah, but saying that, I was about to say, well, my choice is moving the brand forwards. But actually, you've got Hayley Williams on board. You've got investment. You've got viewers. You could.
That's already going to bring in a big audience.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a fair point. I think you've made a good call there.
Yeah.
So that's one of our questions on Facebook and one from Simon. So thanks for that, Simon. And let's move on to some of the ones I got on Twitter. I'm just bringing up the list. Hopefully, don't do this to me, Twitter. You absolute bumhole.
What's it doing?
It's reloaded the page.
Are you on a hashtag bumholes page or something?
Hashtag bumhole page. Yeah, it's exactly what I'm on. No, I'd like to load of tweets, but it's done the lovely thing of having to refresh the page because there was a problem. Because Safari is a terrible browser.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that in my mind. I usually use Chrome, but I'm signed in on Twitter on Safari for some reason. I'm just getting there. Don't
Well,
worry.
you're on a Mac, so it makes sense to use.
Yeah. So here we go. I'm just getting to them now. I'm just scrolling through some dodgy ones and a load of mentions from the Daily Mail and
Some
things.
dodgy ones like that. Are they going to come in later? Are they?
Yeah, exactly. I think they will actually. To be fair. Here we go. Right, first question is from the After Dark Podcast Network, and they say, "How did we meet?"
How do we meet? Okay.
Well, what happened was we were on Grinder.
I thought we agreed that wasn't going to be the story we told, right?
Oh yes, sorry, dear.
God.
No, so what happened is Dan is a web developer, and I am a digital marketer, and we used to work at the same company.
Yeah.
And we
started
both
around the
liked
same
video.
time, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We started around the same time. We both like video games, and we got chatting.
We played video games at lunch as well, didn't we?
Yeah, every lunchtime we were playing video games. We both found out that we both been going to Florida since a young age, and going to the theme parks over there. And then we both had the kind of same idea for creating a website to eventually allow people to buy and sell merchandise, which is coming very soon. Hence the trader part of the name. And decided to start Theme Park Trader, and it began with the blog, and now is the podcast and these videos, and is hopefully going to continue from there. So yeah, and that was what, God, maybe 10 years ago, nearly.
Probably about 10 years, because I worked where we met for about 5 years, and then I've worked in my new place for about 5 years, or knocking on the door of 5 years now. So
yeah, so about 10 years.
That sort of time.
Yeah. So that's the answer to that question.
Well, I'm trying to think. Did we know each other before we both started full time? Not outside of the work, but because we both worked there part time, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yeah. So it's definitely been.
I don't know how. I can't remember how long it was we worked there part time for when we knew each other. Because not to go into we worked part time, but on different days. I think to begin with.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah.
So yeah.
And because I always call you Dan when we're talking about Theme Park Trader, but I don't call you Dan. Outside of Theme Park Trader, I don't call you Dan. It's nothing rude, but I don't call you Dan. Sugar tits. PS4, Xbox all the way, Simon. Xbox is by far the best console. I have a PS4 as well. It's a very good console, but I think Xbox is by far and the way and the best, especially if you've got an Xbox One X and a 4K TV.
Yeah, it's the most powerful console, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, nice advert there for Microsoft. The world's most powerful console.
But also, I think we've been both in agreement that we prefer the achievement system of the Xbox compared to the trophy system of PlayStation.
Yeah, achievements is better than the trophy system. The UI of the Xbox is better. I prefer the first-party games on Xbox, although Sony have had some fantastic ones over the last few years. Yeah. Spider-Man being a real highlight for me. God of War as well. But yeah, Xbox all the way. Simon, again, what was it that made you fall in love with theme parks? The first memory I have is sitting outside Casey's Corner, and it's a photo that my parents still have that kind of reminds me of that memory. And I've got Nesquik in a carton. Like, they used to sell them in cartons, believe it or not, rather than plastic bottles. But yeah, we've got backwards, haven't we? They used to sell them in cardboard cartons, and now they sell them in plastic bottles.
Yeah.
I have a feeling the cardboard will come back at some point, and call it this brand new innovation that people have never seen before. But I have a memory of sitting on Main Street at the edge of Casey's Corner on the seating area there, and
he was 27, sipping his.
I was 3, I believe. I was 3/4, and I've been going to Florida with my parents, say, every 12 months to 18 months from 3 until maybe 16, 17, and then I've been going to Florida every year since. I've been going to some of the parks in the UK since I was a kid, and it's more Disney parks that what made me fall in love with theme parks because of the characters they've had, that the atmosphere that they have, the all-round experience is what made me fall in love with theme parks. But I think now it's evolved to some of the bigger rides, some of the experiences that I can have. And since I've been able to drink some of the various alcoholic options that are available, beverages, especially at the Epcot Food and Wine Festival, as many of you will know, is a big favourite of mine. But
do you like that? Do you?
Yeah, I think it's all right. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Good to know.
But really, it's because I've been going since I was a kid, and I didn't go on a roller coaster. Certainly, well, Big Thunder Mountain, but nothing that went upside down. I didn't go on a roller coaster until I was 18. So it really was. It was the atmosphere of the parks and spending time with my family that really got me into the theme parks. And I've been in love with Walt Disney World certainly since I was 3 years old. So I don't know about you, Dan.
No, I very
just
similar.
Really like Disney.
Just really like Disney, like the princesses. No, it's very similar. Obviously, I've been going since I was about 6. I think was the first time that I went, and I've been going back ever since. Really, maybe not every year when I was younger, but in recent years, in the last 10 years, I've been going back almost every year. And then again, I think it's I guess it goes back to obviously these family holidays. Really enjoyed the family holidays, time with the family. It's such a nice location, Orlando. So the heat is amazing, and the parks that they have to offer are fantastic. And as you say, it's the characters and I think it's the way. So obviously they're not all based on IPs, but the rides that are based on IPs, you can really relate to them as a young kid.
Yes,
and I think it's that sort of like love that you fall in love with, the rides and things like that you fall in love with, you associate with films. And I've always loved the Disney films, so it just comes kind of hand in hand really. And then you've got, even with Universal, I always think of it as aimed at slightly older. So as you sort of go through Disney, you get more involved in Universal with the things like The Mummy and all those sort of Jaws and all those sort of franchises. And yeah, they just put on such a good show there, don't they? Compared to the UK parks, which are just generic rides, not really based on, well, there's more of them based these days, aren't they? But before, when we were growing up, they were just generic roller coasters, things like that. Which, similar to you, I couldn't really get too involved in because I wasn't really a fan of the big rides until I was sort of in my mid to late-ish teens. I can't remember what age I would have been, but I know I went on Nemesis Inferno. Was probably one of my first few. Not Nemesis Inferno, Colossus at Thorpe Park, which would have been one of my first few really big ones that I would have been on. That must be sort of like mid-teens, maybe 13, 14.
Yeah, I think it really was. It was the family holiday that got me into theme parks, and I know you're not a big fan of It's a Small World, Dan, but I mean, I've been riding that attraction since I was 3. I still love it now, and it's those kind of because it's amazing, and it's those kind of memories that I think stick with you, and part of the reason why I look forward to going back to Disney World. I'd be back there every month if I could afford it. It's not to say that Disney World, is the best theme park in the world. We've never said that. But it's the parks that I think we personally relate to the most.
Yeah, I think they all bring.
That's why we talk about them so much.
Yeah, each park brings something unique. The different locations around the world. Certainly not going to say Orlando is the best. They do have a fantastic selection because they have so many parks there. And I think, as I said, the kind of the combination of the weather and the almost like the I don't know what the proper word would be, the quality of the cast members and everything like that, they all get really involved in it, don't they? And they give you a great experience there. Can't really say that about Paris.
Not so much, no.
Not so much. But yeah, I think it's the whole combination that makes it such a great holiday.
Completely agree. So I hope that's answered your question, Simon. We have another question now from After Dark's Halloween Adventure. What one movie franchise each would both of you like to have walked through at Halloween Horror Nights 28 last year? And would it be announced for Halloween Horror Nights 29? Would be enough to make you book? So I guess which franchise? I guess it's one and the same thing, right? So which franchise would we have basically? Because Stranger Things sold the event to us last year, and I'm glad it did because we loved that event, and I'm going back this year twice for 2 nights. Again, I would be going for more, but that's all I've got time for. Hey, Craig. So that's the only reason why I'm going for 2 nights. But what franchise would attract me to that event? If I'm thinking horror franchises, I'm thinking probably Nightmare on Elm Street would do that for me. I love those movies and have done since I was old enough to be scared by horror films. I think that would have done it for me. I think the other reason I wanted to go last year was actually due to Chucky being there. So if they announced a Chucky
dedicated Chucky
house, then absolutely I would have been on board with that as well. But if you're talking non-horror, which Stranger Things isn't really horror,
it's not really.
I mean, they've twisted it a little bit, but I suppose you have to kind of stick to horror. I think, Chucky, Nightmare on Elm Street, or something like Alien would have done it for me. But because of my love of the Great Movie Ride and the fact that I would have probably seen that experience 10 times better at Halloween Horror Nights. Blair Witch would. Well, I don't know, because Blair Witch, not much really happens in that movie. But I guess if you're like lost, if they set the scene in the middle of the woods and you're getting sort of proper chills as you're walking through, I think it could be really scary. But yeah, I think Chucky or Nightmare on Elm Street would be the franchises for me. If they announce houses for, would definitely have got me interested.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Dan. You're not a big fan of horror, are you?
I'm not a huge horror person. I mean, one that you mentioned, I was thinking of, which would be Alien. That would be amazing to see that. And the other one, which I know they've already done before, which would probably be The Shining. That would be quite good to see. Those are 2 that come to mind. But yeah, as you say, I'm not a huge horror franchise person. So Stranger Things was great for me. I loved that. That's really what made me want to go and do it, because it's huge at the moment, really, isn't it? The new series coming out on the 4th of July.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Those are a couple that I would love to see. I mean, I'm sure they won't do The Shining again because they've already done it, but you never know.
Treehouse, actually, that's a very good point, Simon. Treehouse of Horror's house. Oh my god, that would, I'd be there in a heartbeat if they announced the Treehouse of Horror Simpsons house.
I thought you assumed you meant the Simpsons. Yeah, that would be quite cool, actually.
Absolutely, I'd be there. I have no idea how they'd be able to pull that off without, because they've got like the fuzzy felt Simpsons character meet and greets that look kind of a bit shit, don't they?
Yeah, they're a bit oversized, really, aren't they?
So I think they'd have to build like cartoony animatronics.
Maybe they could improve. Maybe they could put a little bit more money into the suits, because they wouldn't necessarily have to be really. Because obviously these suits have to be quite durable and they have to last quite a long time, I imagine. So they're probably made to be a little bit chunkier. But if they sort of know that they're only going to be used for like a few months period, they might try and put a bit more money into them, maybe. And they weren't going to be like touched and grabbed by the guests and things like that. Maybe they could focus in a bit more. Because one that we were talking about Treehouse of Horrors recently, weren't we? And one that always sticks with me, as I told you, was the one where you have Bart's evil twin, in the loft. I think that would be great if that was in the. There's
so many. Obviously, they're all ripped on from horror films anyway. But I mean, and sci-fi and all that kind of thing. But imagine like a greatest hits of Treehouse of Horrors, 7, 8, 9 rooms of different things that have happened in those episodes would be absolutely incredible. And I think it would probably be, in my opinion, the same draw of Stranger Things last year if they were to do a Simpsons house. Unfortunately, who knows what's possible now that Disney are about to own the Simpsons.
Yeah, very true. I mean, I think a lot of people would be up in arms about it, similar to how a lot of people who love the Halloween Horror Nights weren't particularly happy with Stranger Things being there. you would probably get the same sort of backlash with The Simpsons. But I think it would be really cool to see how they approached it.
Yeah, definitely. Fish head bucket smells. Yeah. So the next question: what was the first album and single both of you two ever bought, and do you still listen to them? So I'll be honest. This is from Everybody's Got One, and I'll be honest and say that I am of an age where I never bought a single. I bought an album. Which was Nirvana, which is Nirvana's greatest hits. And I remember buying that, and yes, I still listen to that album. I still listen to Nirvana to this day, but I don't think I've ever purchased a single myself. I've had singles purchased for me by my parents, but I don't think I mean, I've had Spotify. I worked it out. I've had Spotify for 10 years.
When you said that to me recently, I didn't even realize it had been out for 10 years.
Yeah, so I think 2008 they've been around since, and I was one of the ones that you could get into Spotify if someone who was already in it invited you to it.
Yeah, like invite only sort of thing.
Yeah. So when you think of it like that, I was 17 when I got Spotify, which is like your peak music. You really start buying music when you start getting a job at 16 and 17, and you start really getting into music and kind of having your own identity with music. That's when I had Spotify. So I never really, I had like a handful of albums. Most of those were Nirvana, My Chemical Romance, Paramore, 30 Seconds to Mars, Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, like good Fall Out Boy and good Panic at the Disco, not the shit that they make now. So like, kind of those are the original albums that I purchased. I don't know about you, Dan. Yeah,
I mean, similar to you, I can't remember the exact first album I would have bought. I know, similar to you, I would have had like albums and singles potentially bought for me by parents and things like that. The exact one doesn't stand out. I mean, early ones would have been probably like The Who and AC/DC. Probably would have been some of the early ones that I bought. Probably Back in Black probably would have been the Back in Black album probably would have been one of my earlier ones. And then similar to you, it would have been sort of like early teens, I think, would have been when I like My Chemical Romance came on and Fall Out Boy and Paramore, those sort of things. So those probably would have been my earlier ones as well. Like, but I think AC/DC and The Who and potentially Led Zeppelin, that would have been my earlier ones that I would have bought myself, I think.
Yeah.
From memory.
Oh, nice. Some good ones in there, I think.
Yeah. And I still listen to all of them, to be fair. So.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of lots of different types of music. Like I have so many playlists on Spotify, and I think it would be fun to do, probably more on Customer is Always Weird, but it'd be fun to do a run through of all the different playlists I've got, because I've got like 80s hits, I've got like Women of Rock, I've got like, you know, emo hits, all that kind of stuff. But then I've also got sounds of traditional Mexico and like jazz hits and like techno and dance. I like all different types of music. The only type of music that I really don't like is R&B and rap. I don't like those at all, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm exactly the same. I think what I listen to changes from week to week based on my mood, really. I can go from like My Chemical Romance and sort of that sort of genre to drum and bass or dubstep or something like that, or I can go down to why can't I think of their names? I was listening to
Chaz and Dave.
Well. Yeah, Mumford and Sons. That's who I was thinking of.
Okay,
something like that. Or I can go to. I've been listening to a lot of Slipknot recently, so very much changing.
And actually, you just reminded me. Mumford and Sons kind of reminded me of it, that I listened to a lot of Employment by Kaiser Chiefs back in the day. That was a great album. So like the Hoosiers, Kaiser Chiefs, you know, those kind of bands as well. Simon says Universal give Disney the rest of Marvel. Universal takes Simpsons. Problem solved. You're welcome, everyone. That would be great, but it's not going to happen.
In an ideal world, that's what they would do.
But it ain't gonna happen. What I don't care about the Fantastic Four, and I don't particularly care about X-Men. The deal that I want Marvel to get is Spider-Man and all of his characters. I really couldn't give a stuff about X-Men.
Thing is, I can't see Universal.
So that's what I'm waiting for.
Because that's one of their most popular rides.
No, I was talking about Sony. Does Sony own the right? I mean, the movie rights.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's the movie rights. Yeah,
yeah.
Spider-Man, the rights to Spider-Man is a bit all over the place, isn't it? Sony having the movie rights, Universal in Florida having the ride rights. It's a bit of a mess.
It is, yeah. So next question says, I don't think sports is really your nerd's thing. I don't know what gives you that impression. However, I know Ryan is a Liverpool fan, but who does Dan support? And have you ever watched any American sport live while in Florida? So, Dan, I mean, that question is more aimed at you.
Right. Okay. I mean, growing up as a wee nipper, not in Scotland, I supported Manchester United. But yeah, that's who I followed as a boy. I never went to any of the games, but I just followed them. But yeah, I don't really follow anyone these days. And it's soccer is not something I follow. Apart from the World Cups and things like that, then I watch.
Yeah,
those.
I'm the same. I'm the same as you. I any free time that I do have, and I'm not working on Theme Park Trader, or I'm not actually at work, is spent playing video games, and I don't have time. I don't have time to watch sports as well as everything else that I'm interested in.
What was the second part of that question?
Have we ever watched any live sports while in America?
Orlando specifically. I'm assuming when they say live sports, I mean like going to a venue to watch it live, not on telly. I don't think I've ever been to watch sports in Orlando. The closest I've come is when I was in Canada and I was watching the NHL, the Stanley Cup but that was on TV. I didn't actually go to see one. But that's the only real American sport I've watched.
Well, I've watched the world cheerleading competitions in Disney World before.
avidly, Ryan. Yeah. But is that because of your sister?
No, she wasn't even there.
You're just a big fan. Just a fan.
Oh, well, I was in Epcot and my sister texted me saying, "Oh, Wells is on, which is the cheerleading competition. Right. Go and check it out if you've got time." So Donna and I went and sat in there for a couple of hours and watched it. It was all right. But
sport, did you?
I'm not really a big fan. I'm not really a big fan of sports, cheerleading included. I mean, I still don't understand how it's a sport in itself, to be honest. But there we go. The very definition of cheerleading is to cheer something else on. But there we go. When I'm in Florida, even when I'm there later this year for 3 weeks, I won't have any interest or time to watch live sports. American football for me is a no-go. It goes on for about 6 hours, and that's 6 hours that I could be standing in a queue at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, you will be standing in a queue at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, I will, 100%. So no, I've not seen any sport. I've seen plenty of football games over here. Growing up, my dad's a big West Ham fan, so I've seen them play a lot of times through his job. But yeah, I would never go and watch sports in America. Maybe if I'm in a different part of America where there's no theme parks, and actually I'm out there for a couple of weeks and there's a big American football game on, I think I might then. One of our friends, Dan and I's friends, did that over in Christ. I'm trying to think where he was. It's one of the arse end of nowhere states, close to California.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It doesn't give me much to go by. It's going to be interesting when you say the name. If you say the name of it and you say it after saying it's the arse end of nowhere.
I know. Americans are going to be like, "How dare you?"
You sort of dug yourself into a little bit of a hole there, haven't you? Best thing is just to say you can't remember.
You know me. That's not how I like to do things. Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Arizona. It is in the arse, I don't know, man. Come on. It's mostly desert.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there is a big part of it that's desert. Yeah.
There you go. It's mostly desert. Exactly what you just said. So obviously, so the next question is obviously Walt Disney World and Universal Resort are your your 1 and 2 things to do in Orlando. But what's your 3, 4, and 5 things to do? That's a good question. I'll answer with a couple of mine. One, I do really like SeaWorld, I have to say, and not just SeaWorld, but Discovery Cove as well. I think, despite the things that have gone on with Blackfish, let's park that. That's a discussion for another time. I do really like the park. I think Discovery Cove is a fantastic, an amazing, relaxing park. If you don't want to swim with dolphins, don't do it. Just book it without a dolphin swim, and you get unlimited food and booze. Unlimited food and booze.
Now we know the reason why Real Ryan likes it so much.
It's a great place, but I've only.
Did you realise there were dolphins there until like recently?
Yeah, no,
it's just the unlimited food and beer.
I've been for a dolphin swim several times, but yeah, it's a great place to go. So I do like SeaWorld. I also like playing crazy golf around the Orlando area. There's some great crazy golf courses outside of the Universal ones are awful. Yeah. Let's just put that out there. They're not good. They're so overpriced. The Pirates Disney Cove ones are, Pirates Cove on, is it off International Drive?
I think
192.
So.
I don't know.
I can't remember. I know there's a couple. We always go to the same one.
Yeah. But there's some great crazy golf courses in Orlando. So Simon says, I'm doing Discovery Cove again this year. No dolphin swim at Discovery Cove for the 4th time. Yeah, it's a great place. You know what? If you just want to relax for a day away from the parks, Discovery Cove is absolutely fantastic for that. Really, really is.
I don't think I've ever been to Discovery Cove.
You should do it. You don't have to drink alcohol. They've got lots of non-alcoholic beverages. You've got lots of food options. There's an amazing lazy river. You can swim with a load of tropical fish and rays and things like that. It's really, really cool place. Oh. So I'd say SeaWorld, SeaWorld, Discovery Cove, and Crazy Golf. And the other one I wanted to mention is, it's going to sound ridiculous, but Walmart. I absolutely fucking love Walmart. You go down, it's like 2 whole aisles for biscuits. It's like, that's fucking insane.
I wasn't sure where you were going to go with what item you were going to pick. Biscuits of all things. Okay.
But or cookies, as Americans call it. I mean, they're biscuits, but whatever. Yeah. 2 whole aisles, and then you get like a whole aisle, like the length of 3 of our aisles, dedicated to cereal.
Hear the excitement in his voice.
Walmart is a theme park in itself.
I mean, it's big enough.
So those are my answers. I don't know what about you, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to mention Pirates Cove, which, as I already kind of touched on, we always go there. Like every year, we go to Pirates Cove. It's great. It's lovely in it of an evening, because it's so warm during the evening. You can just go there. You spend the whole day in the parks, and then you can just go chill out, playing a bit of crazy golf. What else? We went to Kennedy Space Center. I think it must have been in 2017 that we would have been to Kennedy. And that was really good. We hadn't been there for a few years. That was really interesting, and they have some really good tours, and obviously it's all sort of like getting a bit more lively now with sort of SpaceX doing their stuff. So we went past the SpaceX hangar and things like that. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
But yeah, I'm trying to think what else. I mean, we often go to some of the malls. Like we'll take a bit of time out with some of the malls. So Mall at Millenia is, I think, a particular favourite of ours.
Yeah, and I think, you know what, for someone from the UK, Walmart and the malls are an amazing attraction in themselves. For anyone in America, obviously, you get malls and Walmarts everywhere. But for people from the UK, we see nothing to that scale. Yeah. As Simon says, it's huge. First time he went to Walmart, he's sure he saw a tractor tire for sale. Absolutely, Simon. I've got no doubt that you did. So yeah, I think they're attractions in themselves. And Dan, I can't believe you've forgotten your number one attraction in Orlando.
I'm curious.
The Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, well, that's a more than earlier. So
yeah,
yeah, I do like the Cheesecake Factory. The cheesecake is awesome.
Cheesecake is awesome. Yeah, you're right, Simon, as well. Gatorland is a good day out, and also the Everglades. The Everglades are amazing, right? So you've got these incredible places to go in Orlando outside of the theme parks. I went to the Everglades a few years ago, saw lots of gators. I saw a bald eagle as well, which was amazing.
That's cool.
I'd like to go and see the natural springs in Florida as well. I haven't quite got around to doing it.
Don't need to anymore, right? You've got Disney Springs.
I've got Disney Springs, yeah. But there's loads of options outside the park. Those are just a few of our favourites. But I think there is room for us to talk about those other options a lot on this show and on Theme Park Trade, the podcast. But we don't talk about parks outside of Orlando enough, let alone things outside of the parks in Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously got Busch Gardens and like Legoland, which I've never been to Legoland since it opened.
No, nor have
I. Because obviously it's over in Tampa way, isn't it? So it's a little bit harder to get to. But not. I mean, when we go as a family, we always have a car. We always have a hire car, so we can go over there. It's just obviously it takes like an hour and a half or so to get there, hour and a half to get back. So it does eat into your day a little bit. So it's not.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of rather spend, because we have a Legoland over in the UK, don't we? So we can go to that one. If we do Granson, it's probably not the same, but you know, I think if I was going to go to a park, I'd prefer to go to Universal or Disney Park to a Legoland.
Yeah, I agree. Nick's asked, "Are Dan's headphones getting bigger each week?" I think his head's just getting smaller.
I'm shrinking. It's because I had to wear these ones last week because my Beats are out of battery and they're slowly disintegrating, if you can see that. So I need to get some new ones before I go to Florida next month. So I need to get some new ones. So if anyone has any recommendations, because I'm currently just trying to decide between the Bose and the Sony ones. So
I think you're trying more and more to look like Lobot from Star Wars. I think that's what you're going for.
Lobot, is that the guy from the Cloud City?
Yeah.
I didn't know his name, so I was just guessing.
Yeah, it was a good guess. He kind of looks like a DJ. I've actually seen Lobot do a DJ set in Disney World.
I mean, these are huge.
Yeah.
I mean, they're ridiculous size. And they have these panels that come off for some reason. For no apparent reason, which I now can't get back on because I can't see what I'm doing. There you go. Yeah. Absolutely no reason why.
Absolute shit show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick agrees. You do look like Lobot. Simon said he went to Legoland and that most of the rides are for younger kids. So we've got one more question before we open it up to anyone else who has a question for us. And this is from Tony Burrows 81 on Twitter. And he says, "What is your tinned meat of choice for you to survive in the post-Brexit hellscape?" I'm probably going to go with I can't remember the name of the meat, and I must apologize for that. But it's the one. It's like tiny bits of beef, but it's also got potato in it as well, and you can have it it's like breakfast. I think they're called breakfast potatoes, but you can get it in tins, and they come with bits of bacon in. That's it, bacon. Right. And the reason I'm going for that is because I've got type 1 diabetes, so I'm going to need some carbs to survive. But I also appreciate the need to answer your question, so therefore that is a form of tinned meat.
Nice. I think I would either go. I have kind of two choices. One is one that got sent round to work recently, which is a canned whole chicken.
Amazing.
By Sweet Sue, if that's a real brand, I'm not entirely sure. Or the it's completely fake, but the roast chicken, not the roast chicken, I've just said that. The Christmas dinner in a can that Game released, which came with all of your Yeah, it came with like your cranberry sauce, your turkey, your stuffing, your Christmas pudding, Yorkshire. It was all get all your layers in there. Your sprouts. Yeah,
It's a good choice.
so it's both meaty and nutritious.
Yeah, it's a great choice. So, I mean, unless anyone else has got any more questions for us today, we're probably going to call it there. It's a bit of a different show this week. We thought we'd just try something different. We will be back, I think, for another live show probably in about 2 weeks, because I am going to Disneyland Paris on Wednesday night, and I'm going to be away until the end of play next Sunday. So we don't have capacity that weekend to do some live shows. However, I will be going live on Facebook from Disneyland Paris at some point. And Nick in the comments is also going to be there with me, so I'm sure you'll see his face popping up, whether invited or not. He'll be there. Trying to get him a stream.
Spooning, right?
We can't be crossing the streams though. That counts, and Nick, that counts both for urinating and live audio, unless we have already agreed in advance that we're doing a shared stream.
Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about the audio, or are you talking about the urination?
I think both. I think both is fine.
Anything goes. Yeah. Just decide. You can decide on the way up there.
Exactly.
Or down there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for watching, guys. For those of you that may have just come in a little bit late, I'm going to be uploading this to YouTube within the next hour or so, so you can watch from the beginning there. And I'll be back on Facebook Live within the next few days from Disneyland Paris. But in terms of when you'll hear Dan and I next, obviously we've got a podcast going out tomorrow. What are we doing on tomorrow? We only recorded it yesterday, but I think it was
reviews of Disney Springs, was it not?
That's right. So Disney Springs is coming out tomorrow. So we recorded 2, so I forget. So Poor Reviews of Disney Springs is out tomorrow, and then I'll be back in the week on Facebook Live and possibly YouTube, depending on Disneyland Paris's. I probably will leave my MacBook at home, so we'll go from there, and there'll be some more YouTube stuff coming on later on. Cheers, Simon. Thanks for keep watching these, and thanks for keeping with us. We promise that we will upgrade our equipment when we can. More so me than Dan. I just look like a little bit too shiny in this light. I'm not. I mean, the heating is on, so I'm a little bit sweaty.
He's got it up to like 40.
It's not me.
I know you'd sit there in like minus temperatures, and you'd be there in your shorts.
Exactly.
Just be like,
so
it's a bit stuffy, isn't it?
Bit stuffy, yeah. So go and check us out on all the socials as well. Just look at Theme Park Trader, and we will catch you, as I said, very shortly from Disneyland Paris, and tomorrow from the podcast. So go and check that out on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you like to listen to podcasts from, whatever app you like. We are on all of them. So thank you very much.